So like Chairman Aguilar said, we hear a lot from our constituents on different issues, but something I've heard that doesn't seem to be being covered are the Epstein files. These files were released, and like Donald Trump sort of all over this, right? There are pictures of him with Jeffrey Epstein. He's taken multiple plane flights with Epstein with young girls on board. He is on call logs with Epstein. One of the highest trending hashtags on Twitter right now is about Trump and Epstein. I'm not going to repeat the hashtag because we're in a dignified setting. But yeah, y'all might want to look at that because that's highly disturbing. And again, it shows that Donald Trump is unfit for office. And by the way, he was convicted in a civilian court for sexual assault, convicted in a separate court of 34 felonies. Donald Trump should drop out of the race.
Look, I know that Donald Trump once said that he can stand in Fifth Avenue and shoot somebody and his base will still support him. I think he also perhaps even underestimated that corporate media would still support him if he did that. And look, most sane Americans, though, don't want a sexual predator as the leader of our country. And so I'm glad that Ted Lieu, Democratic Congress member, is bringing that up. And I think one of the reasons he's bringing that up, it's because people like you, the Meidas Mighty, are speaking to our elected officials and saying, this really matters to us. We don't want to hear about the corporate media continuing their ageist attacks on President Biden, who's been a great president. We want to hear about actual news, like the fact that the Epstein files, another batch, was released last week. This was part of a law that was passed in the Florida legislature to make available and make public criminal grand jury files from the Epstein criminal case in Florida. And sure enough, guess whose name appears over and over again? Message log, message log, message log, message log. It's Donald Trump's name. And there are undisputed facts, folks, when it comes to Donald Trump. It is undisputed, for example, that Virginia Giuffre, a woman who was trafficked by Jeffrey Epstein, was recruited by Ghislaine Maxwell at Mar-a-Lago. She worked at Mar-a-Lago. She was living on the streets. Her dad was a worker at Mar-a-Lago and helped her get a job there. And then very quickly, she was recruited by Ghislaine to meet Jeffrey Epstein, and then she was trafficked. I mean, we can go through this line by line. Like, look, Donald Trump, during the criminal trial of Ghislaine Maxwell, said he wishes her well. Think about that. Trump was asked, what do you want to say to Ghislaine Maxwell? He doesn't say it's despicable, it's disgusting, this conduct is abhorrent, or just not comment at all. He goes, I wish her well. The woman who trafficked for Epstein, Trump says, I wish her well. Here, play this clip.
Ghislaine Maxwell is in prison, and a lot of people want to know if she's going to turn in powerful people. And I know you've talked in the past about Prince Andrew, and you've criticized Bill Clinton's behavior. I'm wondering, do you feel that she's going to turn in powerful men? How do you see that working out?
I don't know. I haven't really been following it too much. I just wish her well, frankly. I've met her numerous times over the years, especially since I lived in Palm Beach, and I guess they lived in Palm Beach. But I wish her well, whatever it is. I don't know the situation with Prince Andrew. Just don't know. Not aware of it.
Donald Trump's also quoted, of course, in New York Magazine, where he previously said that Jeffrey Epstein is a great guy who likes women on the younger side. He says, I mean, just think about that. That's what Donald Trump says, that Epstein likes women on the younger side. Trump would party with Epstein. Just take a look at this. These are the flight logs. Trump's name appears at least 7 times on Epstein's plane. Epstein flew on Donald Trump's plane and brought a young girl of indeterminate age, it was reported. At the Ghislaine Maxwell trial, it was reported that Jeffrey Epstein introduced this was a testimony at the trial, that a 14-year-old girl was introduced by Epstein to Donald Trump. And we need more politicians talking about this. We need the corporate media to talk about this. And so I think you need to call your member of Congress and tell them that this is an issue that matters to you. This is from a few months back, but this is Democratic Congressman member Jared Moskowitz, where he brought up Epstein and Donald Trump's connections to Jeffrey Epstein. Watch this.
And so, again, because the gentle lady from the gentle lady from Georgia, I know is such an advocate for women's rights, as she mentioned, and is so concerned about grooming, and apparently we don't have any standards here anymore. Again, I just want to remind my colleagues, because, you know, I don't want them to forget about hypocrisy, okay? I don't want them to forget about hypocrisy. But, you know, Donald Trump was asked about Jeffrey Epstein, and when he was asked, he said, you know, Jeffrey likes him young. Well, how did the president know that? How did he know that Jeffrey Epstein likes him young? Perhaps some people are saying he was there, since you're so concerned, right? But again, I bring this up not to make jest. I bring it
Point
up.
of order, Mr. Chairman.
I bring it up. I thought we weren't going to interrupt.
We're going to stop the clock. We did this with Ms.
Okay.
Green. State your point.
Yeah, I'm just curious about the impugning of the former president's character. That
I don't have to do that. He does that himself.
Have we basically thrown that rule out? I'm just curious, or are we going to follow that?
Would you accept a pornographic photo?
Of Bill Clinton?
Yeah, we suspended the rule to the current president, but we didn't suspend it to the former president. But.
Oh, by the way, please, so you're making the point that we can disparage Joe
right.
Biden, but not Donald Trump. Please make that point to the American people. Mm-hmm. Please.
And
Bill Clinton's not running for office.
That's my point.
And folks, it was, by the way, it was a great, it's a great rant there by Moskowitz, and all true, all factual, right? It was all MAGA saying, release the files, release the files. Okay, well, the files are released. And then they're like, well, Trump's name doesn't appear anywhere. Yes, he does. It appears all over it. I'm showing you where it appears over and over and over again. A deposition portion where one of the victims that was trafficked by Epstein said that while she was on the plane, Epstein told the pilot that they were going to stop off at one of Trump's hotels in Atlantic City. Here's Donald Trump on audio right here saying that at his beauty pageants, he would inspect naked girls without their consent. And that because he led the pageants, you can do it. You can get away with it. They let you do it when you are the head of the pageants. Watch this.
Well, you could also say as the owner of the pageant, it's your obligation to do that.
So you have done that. Now,
I'll tell you the funniest is that I'll go backstage before a show.
Yes.
And everyone's getting dressed and ready and everything else. And, you know, no men are anywhere. And I'm allowed to go in because I'm the owner of the pageant, and therefore I'm inspecting it. You know, I'm inspecting. I want to make sure that
You're like
everything is
doctor.
good.
You're there.
Yeah, the dress. Is everyone okay? You know, they're standing there with no clothes. Is everybody okay? And you see these incredible looking women. And so I sort of get away with things like that.
I mean, again, this is all happening in plain view, and the media refuses to talk about it. I mean, here was an article that talked about how in the 90s, Donald Trump would, you know, party on these boats like this party that was ahead of the Look of the Year competition. This is the competition that Donald Trump was sponsoring, just so you can see, like, these are little girls we're talking about. Like, these are little girls we're talking about. And then when you read the article, it talks about how these girls were on this yacht with Donald Trump and other men who were old enough to be their grandfather. And then the old men would grind on the young girls, and they would say, get me some more younger, bring me some more, bring me some more. And that was happening the day before, or as part of the parties before that Look of the Year competition that you just saw there. I mean, look, there's, you know, audio right here. This is Donald Trump talking about Lindsay Lohan, who was either just turned 18 or was 17, just turning 18 or 18 years old. And here's Donald Trump saying that when it comes to Lindsay Lohan, the reason that he thinks that she would be good for him to sleep with is because of mental illness, which he says makes women better to sleep with. He says, I mean, this is what's coming out of his mouth. Here, play this clip.
What do you think of Lindsay Lohan now?
I think she's hot.
There's something there, right?
Yes.
But you have to like freckles. I've seen a close-up of her chest.
Yes.
And a lot of freckles. Are you into freckles?
If the father's a wreck like the way he is,
right.
You imagine the sex with this troubled
Yeah, you're probably right. She's probably deeply troubled and therefore great in bed.
Back in the day.
How come the deeply troubled women?
Yes.
You know, deeply, deeply troubled.
Right.
They're always the best in bed. If a then what I said is true. I mean, they're just unbelievable. I can tell from the... You don't want to be with them for the long term, but for the short term, there's nothing.
And then while Trump is saying all of that as part of his speeches, as part of his campaign speech, he's going around calling Stormy Daniels a horseface. He's calling women horseface. Here, play this clip.
To bring charges against me for now ancient no affair story of Stormy Horseface Daniels. No attraction. No affair. I call it no affair. Where there is no crime anyway.
By the way, did you see a single story other than on the MeidasTouch network that editorial board or anybody said anywhere that says Donald Trump is calling the porn star who he had sex with a horseface, and saying no affair horseface as part of his speech over and over again? I mean, have you heard anybody talk about that at all? I mean, also the way Donald Trump met Melania at the Kit Kat Club, and she was supposedly a model from that was brought over by this modeling agency that would bring over Eastern European women, and then the modeling agency would host these parties for wealthy Manhattan businessmen at the Kit Kat Club and places like that, and that's how Donald Trump met Melania. I mean, all this stuff is out there, and I just think fundamentally, and it's undisputed that Donald Trump was found liable for sexual assault. He's on audio bragging about sexually assaulting women. And then when he was asked about it at his deposition, he said, well, yeah, when you're famous, fortunately or unfortunately, that's what you get to do. Here, watch this.
And you say, and again, this has become very famous in this video, I just start kissing them. It's like a magnet. Just kiss. I don't even wait. And when you're a star, they let you do it. You can do anything. Grab them by the pussy. You can do anything. That's what you said, correct?
Well, historically, that's true with stars.
It's true with stars that they can grab women by the pussy?
Well, that's what it's. If you look over the last million years, I guess that's been largely true. Not always, but largely true. Unfortunately or fortunately.
And you consider yourself to be a star?
I think you can say that, yeah.
And
so look, here on the MeidasTouch network, unlike other corporate media, we're going to talk about the Epstein files. We're going to show you the undisputed things that Donald Trump said. We're also going to talk about Project 2025. We're going to talk about the real stakes here. That's what matters. Hit subscribe. Let's get to 3 million together. Thank you for watching.
Love this video? Make sure you stay up to date on the latest breaking news and all things Meidas by signing up to the MeidasTouch newsletter at MeidasTouch.com/newsletter.